Galactic Council discovers cats as psychic ghost detectors. Far away, in a distant galaxy, a great meeting was held. The Grand Stellar Assembly Chamber, floating above two glowing suns, was filled with leaders and thinkers from hundreds of worlds. Each one had come with questions and concerns about a strange and growing problem. High Chancellor Relorin, a figure of wisdom and authority, addressed the group with a serious tone. Reports from every corner of the galaxy have described strange events. Ships disappearing, colonies reporting ghostly movements, trade routes failing due to unseen forces. Whatever this is, it cannot be ignored. The Chancellor gestured toward a holographic display. It lit up, showing disturbing footage. Ships vanishing into thin air, faint flashes of energy rippling through space, and malfunctioning equipment with no clear cause. The crowd shifted uneasily. For all their advanced technology, none of their tools or knowledge could explain what was happening. Dr. Yezrik T'Challa, a scientist known for his unusual ideas, stepped forward. His glowing form pulsed slightly as he spoke. Chancellor, members of the Council, the events you have witnessed are beyond our current understanding. However, there is something on a small planet called Earth that might help us. He raised his arm, and a new hologram appeared. The room went quiet as they looked at the image. It was a small creature with 4 legs, pointed ears, and sharp eyes. Its fur was smooth, its tail curved gently behind it. It sat calmly, but there was something about its expression that suggested it noticed far more than it let on. "This is a cat," Yezrik said, "a creature from Earth. Though small and ordinary in appearance, cats have an ability we do not yet understand. They can sense things we cannot see or measure. In the presence of certain energies, they react, sometimes even before those energies fully appear." The room broke into murmurs. Some representatives laughed quietly, while others looked doubtful. A few were clearly annoyed. One finally stood to speak. "Are you saying this tiny creature is the solution to our galaxy-wide crisis?" the representative asked, their voice heavy with disbelief. "I know how this may sound," Yezrik said calmly, "but I have evidence." He turned to the hologram, and the image changed again. A recording from Earth appeared. A laboratory filled with scientists surrounded a single cat sitting in the center. The cat's ears twitched suddenly, and its gaze fixed on something no one else could see. A moment later, the room's lights flickered, and equipment began to spark and fail. The cat hissed and crouched, its movements perfectly matching the strange energy waves that appeared on their monitors. The council chamber fell silent. No one could deny that the animal had reacted to something invisible to everyone else. "What this shows," Yezrik explained, "is that these creatures have senses we cannot explain. They can detect energies and changes that evade even our most advanced instruments. If we work with them, we may have a chance to face this threat." The room erupted again. Some council members dismissed the idea, calling it absurd. Others seemed uncertain, while a few began to argue in support of further investigation. High Chancellor Relorin raised a hand, silencing the crowd. "You are asking us to trust the fate of the galaxy to an animal from Earth? A creature that sleeps half the day and chases tiny objects for amusement." "They are more than they seem," Yezrik replied firmly. "They are hunters and watchers. They see what we do not, and they sense what we cannot. If we do not act now, we may not get another chance." After much debate, the council came to a decision. By the smallest margin, they agreed to send a team to Earth. Their mission was simple: to find out whether these strange animals truly held the answers they needed. And so, the hopes of an entire galaxy rested on a species that had quietly lived alongside humans for thousands of years. The cats of Earth were about to prove just how extraordinary they really were. The Galactic Council's decision had set a plan in motion. A team of carefully selected representatives was sent to Earth. Among them were Dr. Yezrik T'Challa, who had presented the theory, Ambassador Vinix, a diplomatic skeptic with a sharp tongue, and H3L1X, an artificial intelligence assistant programmed to ensure the mission's success. Their goal was clear: investigate Earth's cats and determine if they truly possessed the abilities he has reclaimed. The delegation arrived on Earth amidst a sea of human curiosity. It was the first time such a team had come to the planet openly, and their arrival was met with a mix of fascination and nervousness. Humans greeted them with warmth, eager to show their guests the wonders of their world. For the delegation, however, one wonder stood above all others. Dr. Elena Morales, Earth's leading expert on feline behavior, greeted the team at a state-of-the-art research facility known as Project Meowlab. With her was Fluffington 4, a sleek, gray cat with piercing green eyes and an air of undeniable importance. Dr. Morales introduced him as the lab's most experienced subject. "Fluffington 4 is no ordinary cat," Dr. Morales said with a grin. "He's been part of our studies for years and has shown behaviors we can't fully explain." Ambassador Vinix leaned closer to inspect the animal, his expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. "This is the creature that's supposed to save the galaxy?" he asked, his tone dripping with skepticism. "It doesn't even look awake." Fluffington opened one eye briefly, then stretched luxuriously before returning to what seemed to be a nap. Vinix threw his hands in the air. Dr. Morales chuckled. "Don't let him fool you. Cats are observers. They don't rush to act unless they must. And when they do, you'll see just how quick they are." The delegation was led into the lab, where the first tests were set to take place. The room was lined with advanced sensors, monitors, and containment fields. At the center was a controlled environment that could safely simulate the kinds of energy disturbances that had plagued the galaxy. Fluffington 4 was placed in the test area, looking entirely unimpressed. The scientists activated the simulation. A low hum filled the room as invisible energy rippled through the space. For a moment, nothing happened. Fluffington sat still, his eyes half closed. Then, without warning, he leapt to his feet. His ears flattened, his tail twitched sharply, and his gaze locked onto an empty corner of the room. "He sees it," Dr. Morales said softly. As Fluffington hissed and crouched, the sensors began to light up. The monitors displayed clear readings of the energy disturbance that had previously been undetectable. The cat moved with precision, tracking the shifting patterns as though it were hunting an invisible prey. When the disturbance grew stronger, Fluffington swatted at it, his actions perfectly timed with spikes in the energy field. The aliens watched in stunned silence. "I hate to admit it," Vinix said finally, "but this is convincing." H3L1X, who had remained quiet until now, processed the data with speed. The creature's reactions align with energy patterns that our technology only detects after the fact. It appears to sense these phenomena instinctively. The experiment continued with other cats, each displaying similar abilities. Some reacted with cautious curiosity, while others showed outright aggression toward the disturbances. Dr. Morales explained that while all cats shared a natural sensitivity, individual personalities played a role in how they responded. "Cats have been living alongside humans for thousands of years," she explained. "But even we don't fully understand them. They seem to exist in their own world, half here, half somewhere else." The results from Meowlab were undeniable, and word of the test spread quickly. News broadcasts across Earth and beyond reported on the findings. Alien civilizations began requesting their own studies of cats, sparking a sudden and unexpected demand for the animals. This new attention brought challenges. Ethical questions arose about how the cats should be treated. Humans insisted on their protection, refusing to allow their beloved companions to be exploited. Meanwhile, alien species attempted to replicate the tests with their own native animals, hoping to find creatures with similar abilities. Some produced results: glowing birds, sound-sensitive insects, but none matched the precision or consistency of Earth's cats. As the debate continued, Fluffington 4 became a galactic sensation. Videos of his tests went viral, and he was hailed as a hero by some and a curiosity by others. Alien scientists flocked to Earth to study him, much to his apparent annoyance. "He's not a fan of being watched," Dr. Morales admitted, as Fluffington turned his back on a group of eager researchers. "Cats aren't performers. They act when they choose, not when we ask." In one particularly humorous incident, an alien representative attempted to feed Fluffington a glowing orb they believed to be a delicacy. Fluffington sniffed it, flicked his tail, and walked away, leaving the alien baffled. The humans tried not to laugh. Back in the lab, the team worked tirelessly to refine their understanding of the cat's abilities. They discovered that the animals had a unique neural structure, one that allowed them to sense shifts in energy and patterns beyond human or alien perception. This structure, combined with their predatory instincts, made them the perfect detectors for the strange disturbances threatening the galaxy. But understanding the cats was only part of the challenge. The next step was finding a way to apply their abilities on a larger scale. Dr. Yezrik suggested creating a network of trained cats, each equipped with lightweight neural amplifiers to enhance their natural sensitivity. The idea was met with cautious approval, though some worried about the practicalities of working with such independent creatures. "Training a cat," Vinix muttered, "sounds about as easy as convincing a star to shine dimmer." Despite the challenges, progress was made. Cats from across Earth were recruited, each carefully selected for their temperament and sensitivity. The team developed devices that could translate the animals' reactions into data, allowing their movements and behaviors to be interpreted in real time. It was a groundbreaking step forward, one that promised to bring the galaxy closer to understanding the mysterious forces at play. Meanwhile, Fluffington 4 continued to lead the way, his calm confidence inspiring the team. Even Vinix began to soften, though he would never admit it openly. One evening, as Fluffington sat beside him, purring quietly, the ambassador reached out hesitantly to scratch his head. To his surprise, Fluffington allowed it. "You might not be entirely useless," Vinix said softly, earning a flick of the tail in response. As the rising action came to its peak, the team prepared for the next phase. The tests had proven the cat's abilities, and the technology to harness them was ready. All that remained was to put their findings into practice. The galaxy's most unusual allies were about to face their greatest challenge, and the stakes had never been higher. The final test for the cats had arrived. A massive rift had opened near Argeth Station, one of the galaxy's busiest trade hubs. The disturbances had grown stronger, more erratic, and more dangerous. Ships were failing mid-flight, colonies were losing communication, and strange entities seemed to drift through space. This was no longer an isolated issue. The galaxy was facing an event that could spiral out of control. The Galactic Council declared a state of emergency, and the team from Earth, along with their extraordinary feline allies, was deployed to Argeth Station. Fluffington 4 led a team of specially selected cats, each equipped with neural amplifiers designed to enhance their natural sensitivity. Dr. Morales and Dr. Yezrik were in charge of coordinating the operation, while Ambassador Vinix reluctantly joined to oversee the mission's diplomatic aspects. The station was a marvel of galactic engineering, a vast floating city with energy shields, docking bays, and a bustling population of traders and travelers. But as the team arrived, they were met with chaos. Lights flickered erratically, and strange distortions rippled through the air. The rift, a pulsating tear in reality, loomed above the station, radiating an ominous energy. Surrounding it were faint, shadowy figures, ghostly entities that seemed to slip in and out of existence. "This is worse than we anticipated," Dr. Yezrik said, his voice tight with concern. "The rift is expanding faster than we predicted. If it grows too large, it could destabilize the entire region." Dr. Morales looked down at Fluffington 4, who was calmly surveying the area. The other cats were equally alert, their ears twitching as they observed the unseen forces around them. "They're ready," Morales said with quiet confidence. The team quickly set up a command center in one of the station's control rooms. Monitors displayed real-time data from the cat's neural amplifiers, showing complex patterns that indicated the presence and movements of the disturbances. The cats themselves moved with purpose, each one seemingly aware of its role. Fluffington led the way, his steps precise and deliberate. He paused occasionally, his tail twitching as he read the energy around him. The other cats followed suit, their reactions perfectly synchronized. The team watched in awe as the cats identified smaller rifts throughout the station, allowing the crew to stabilize the affected areas. As the operation continued, the disturbances grew more aggressive. Equipment malfunctioned, and strange, ghostly forms began to materialize. The cats hissed and crouched, their actions serving as a warning of the growing danger. "Focus on the main rift," Morales instructed. "The smaller ones are just distractions. If we close the primary rift, the others should collapse." Fluffington seemed to understand. He led the team toward the station's central hub, where the energy from the rift was most intense. The journey was fraught with challenges. The disturbances grew stronger as they approached, causing lights to burst and machinery to fail. The ghostly entities became more visible, their shapes twisting and flickering as they moved through the air. One of the cats, a sleek black feline named Shadow, let out a low growl. The team barely had time to react before a sudden surge of energy sent a wave of force through the corridor. The group was thrown off balance, but the cats held their ground, their instincts guiding them through the chaos. "We're getting close," Yezrik said, his eyes on the monitors. "The rift's energy is spiking." Finally, the team reached the central hub. The rift was enormous, a swirling mass of light and shadow that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. The ghostly entities hovered around it, their movements chaotic and unsettling. Fluffington stood at the forefront, his eyes locked on the rift. The other cats formed a loose circle around him, their neural amplifiers glowing faintly. "This is it," Morales said. "We need to trust them." The team activated the amplifiers, and the room was filled with a soft hum as the devices synced with the cat's neural patterns. The data on the monitor spiked, showing complex waves of energy as the cats began to work. Fluffington took the lead, his movements deliberate and precise. He stepped forward, his body tense, and let out a low, guttural sound. The rift responded, its chaotic patterns shifting slightly. The other cats followed his lead, their actions creating a ripple effect that seemed to stabilize the rift's edges. The ghostly entities became more agitated, their forms flickering as they moved closer to the cats. The team could only watch as the animals faced the forces head-on, their instincts guiding them in ways that no technology could replicate. Suddenly, the rift pulsed violently, sending out a shockwave that disrupted the amplifiers. Fluffington let out a sharp hiss, his fur bristling as he turned to face the nearest entity. Without hesitation, he leapt at the figure, his claws swiping through its shimmering form. The entity flickered and dissipated, its energy absorbed by the rift. "They're interacting directly with the energy," Yezrik said, his voice filled with both awe and urgency. "The cats are stabilizing the rift by neutralizing the disturbances." The team worked quickly to recalibrate the amplifiers, allowing the cats to continue their efforts. Each feline moved with purpose, their actions perfectly timed to counter the rift's chaotic energy. Shadow darted toward another entity, her claws striking with precision, while a tabby named Ember focused on reinforcing the energy patterns around the rift's edges. As the battle continued, the rift began to shrink. The cats' combined efforts were forcing it to collapse, but the disturbances fought back with increasing intensity. Fluffington took the brunt of the resistance, his movements a blur as he countered the rift's wild energy. The team watched in awe as the small creature faced the enormous force with unwavering determination. Finally, The rift began to stabilize. Its chaotic movements slowed, and the ghostly entities faded one by one. Fluffington 4 stepped forward one last time, his gaze locked on the rift's center. He let out a sharp, commanding yowl, and the rift collapsed with a final burst of light. The room fell silent. The monitors displayed clear readings. The disturbances were gone, and the rift was no more. The team let out a collective sigh of relief, their exhaustion evident. Fluffington 4 sat down in the center of the room, licking his paw as though nothing had happened. The other cats gathered around him, their calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos they had just faced. "They did it," Morales said softly. "They actually did it." The team began to pack up their equipment, their faces filled with a mixture of relief and admiration. Fluffington 4 and his companions had proven what many had doubted, that these small, unassuming creatures held the power to save the galaxy. As the group prepared to leave, Vinix approached Fluffington 4, his expression unusually soft. "You're not as useless as I thought," he said, scratching the cat gently behind the ears. Fluffington responded with a faint purr, his tail flicking lazily behind him. The team departed Argeth Station, with their mission complete. The rift was closed, and the galaxy was safe for now. The immediate danger was over. The rift had been closed, and the disturbances had vanished. The team returned to the Galactic Council with their findings, carrying not just relief, but a new understanding of the galaxy's most unlikely protectors, Earth's cats. As the Council reconvened, High Chancellor Reloran addressed the Assembly. Through the actions of this team and their unusual allies, the crisis at Argeth Station has been resolved. The rift has been closed, and the disturbances neutralized. We owe a debt of gratitude to those who faced this challenge and succeeded. The holographic projection in the chamber displayed a summary of the mission. The rift shrinking, the disturbances dissipating, and Fluffington Ivy's dramatic leap against the ghostly entities. The council erupted into a mix of applause and conversation. Even the skeptics had to acknowledge the results. Dr. Yezrik T'Challa stepped forward to present the full findings. His tone was measured, his words chosen carefully. "Our studies have confirmed that Earth's cats possess unique abilities that allow them to sense and interact with energy patterns far beyond the capabilities of any known species. Their instincts and neural structures make them natural detectors of interdimensional disturbances. What's more, their contributions during the mission at Argeth Station proved critical in stabilizing and ultimately closing the rift." He paused, glancing at Fluffington 4, who sat calmly on a platform beside him, seemingly unimpressed by the attention. The other cats remained equally composed, their expressions unreadable. Their role in this operation cannot be overstated. These animals are not just companions to humans. They are a resource we must respect and protect. The council members murmured among themselves. For many, this was a moment of reckoning. Cats, once considered ordinary creatures from a relatively unremarkable planet, had proven to be invaluable to the galaxy's survival. Ambassador Vinix stood reluctantly, his usual sharp tone softened. He cleared his throat. "I admit that I was wrong. These creatures are far more capable than I ever imagined. They acted where even our most advanced technologies failed. While I still find them peculiar, their value is undeniable." The statement was met with nods of agreement, and a few council members even laughed at Vinix's reluctant praise. H3L1X, the AI assistant, added its analysis. "The data supports this conclusion. Cats demonstrate an efficiency and precision in detecting disturbances that no artificial system has matched. Their behaviors, while unpredictable, are deeply effective." Dr. Morales, watching the council from her seat, smiled quietly. She knew that while the cats might never fully reveal their secrets, their actions spoke louder than any data or theories. As the meeting progressed, discussions turned to the implications of the discovery. The galaxy was eager to understand how this new knowledge could be applied. Requests flooded in from various civilizations for access to cats and the technology used in the Argeth mission. These requests sparked an ethical debate. Humans, who had long considered cats as companions and family members, were wary of treating them as mere tools or resources. The Galactic Council eventually passed a resolution ensuring that any use of cats in future operations would prioritize their well-being and respect their independence. Fluffington 4 and the other cats became symbols of resilience and adaptability. Images of them in action were shared across the galaxy, and their popularity soared. Cat sanctuaries on Earth began receiving visitors from other planets, curious about these remarkable creatures. Some aliens adopted cats of their own, often with comical results. Videos of aliens fumbling with laser pointers or trying to interpret the meaning behind a slow blink became instant classics. One such incident involved Ambassador Vinix, who had reluctantly adopted a small, feisty tabby named Luna. Despite his best efforts, Luna ignored every command he gave, choosing instead to perch on his head at the most inconvenient moments. Over time, however, the ambassador grew fond of his new companion, even if he refused to admit it openly. Back on Earth, Dr. Morales and her team at Meow Lab continued their research, now with support from intergalactic scientists. They developed new ways to enhance the partnership between cats and technology, creating systems that could better interpret feline behavior and translate it into actionable data. Despite these advancements, the core of their work remained the same: observing and understanding the instincts of the cats themselves. Fluffington 4, now considered a hero, spent his days in relative peace. He returned to his favorite sunny spot in the lab, occasionally participating in new studies, but mostly enjoying the adoration of those around him. To him, it seemed the attention was just another part of life. As the galaxy adjusted to this new reality, some civilizations began to rethink their own relationships with the animals and ecosystems on their planets. If cats, creatures so small and seemingly simple, could hold such extraordinary abilities, what else might they be overlooking? The events at Argeth Station also led to a broader sense of unity among the council members. The crisis had reminded them that solutions could come from the most unexpected places. It was a lesson in humility and cooperation, one they vowed not to forget. In the weeks that followed, life across the galaxy slowly returned to normal. Trade routes reopened, colonies reconnected, and the fear of interdimensional disturbances faded into memory. But the impact of the mission lingered. High Chancellor Reloran summarized it best during a closing address to the Council. Let this be a reminder to us all. The galaxy is vast and full of mysteries. Today, we have learned that strength is not always found in size or technology, but in understanding and collaboration. And sometimes it is found in the most unexpected allies. The Assembly stood in agreement, their gazes turning to Fluffington 4, who sat quietly beside Dr. Morales, his green eyes half closed in contentment. Though he showed no outward reaction, there was a quiet dignity in his posture, as if he understood his place in the grander scheme of things. As the meeting ended, the lights in the chamber dimmed, and the team prepared to return to Earth. Fluffington 4 stretched lazily and followed Dr. Morales toward the exit, his tail flicking behind him. The galaxy had changed forever, but for him it was just another day. The events surrounding the Argeth Station crisis left a lasting impression across the galaxy. The discoveries about Earth's cats and their extraordinary abilities had reshaped the way civilizations thought about their surroundings, their technologies, and their allies. As the team from Earth returned to their home planet, they were greeted with celebration and gratitude. The Galactic Council had issued an official proclamation recognizing the unique role cats had played in saving the galaxy. Humans were applauded not just for their partnership with these creatures, but for the respect and care they showed in protecting them. Dr. Morales reflected on the journey as she returned to the Meow Lab facility with Fluffington 4 and the other cats. She knew the galaxy's newfound admiration for cats brought both opportunities and challenges. Requests for feline cooperation in future missions were already pouring in, but so too were questions about how to protect their independence. "We'll continue to study them," she said during an interview. "But more importantly, we'll continue to learn from them. Cats have always been more than we expected. They remind us that some mysteries don't need solving. They need respecting." Fluffington 4, oblivious to the attention, resumed his favorite pastime, basking in the sunlight streaming through the lab windows. Despite the galaxy's newfound reverence for his kind, he seemed unfazed by his fame. To him, life was as it had always been, predictable only in its unpredictability. Across the galaxy, the influence of cats could be felt in surprising ways. Alien civilizations that had adopted cats began to see them not only as detectors of anomalies, but as companions and observers. Stories spread of cats bringing calm to tense negotiations, helping explorers navigate unknown terrain, and even amusing children in distant colonies with their playful antics. Ambassador Vinex's transformation was perhaps the most unexpected. Once a skeptic, he now referred to his tabby, Luna, as an indispensable advisor, though he still pretended to be annoyed when she refused to follow his orders. H3L1X, the team's AI assistant, remarked wryly that the ambassador's reliance on Luna was a logical adjustment to a superior being. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council began implementing policies to ensure cats' welfare as their role in intergalactic operations grew. Strict guidelines were established to prevent exploitation, with input from both humans and alien representatives. It was a rare moment of unity among the Council's often divided members, brought about by their shared admiration for these enigmatic creatures. The mission's success also sparked a wave of introspection across the galaxy. If something as seemingly ordinary as a cat could hold such extraordinary abilities, what else might be overlooked? Civilizations began to re-examine their own ecosystems and cultures, searching for overlooked strengths and hidden talents among their own species and environments. In a final ceremony held by the Galactic Council, Fluffington 4 and his feline companions were honored as guardians of the galaxy's balance. The title was both symbolic and heartfelt, a tribute to their efforts in stabilizing the interdimensional disturbances that had threatened countless lives. The moment was captured in a galaxy-wide broadcast, with Fluffington 4 sitting regally atop the Council's central podium, his green eyes gleaming under the chamber's lights. High Chancellor Relorin spoke to the assembly. "Let us remember what we have learned here. Our survival depends not just on power and progress, but on understanding and respect for the connections that unite us all. The smallest among us can teach the greatest lessons." The crowd rose in a standing ovation. Fluffington 4 yawned. As the broadcast ended, life across the galaxy began to settle into a new normal. Trade routes reopened, colonies thrived, and the fears of interdimensional rifts faded into memory. But the impact of the mission lingered. Cats had become a symbol of unity, adaptability, and the importance of valuing the unexpected. Back on Earth, Dr. Morales watched Fluffington 4 from across the lab. The cat had returned to his usual routines, patrolling his domain, chasing the occasional laser, and napping in sunbeams. Despite his fame, he was unchanged, a quiet reminder of the balance between the extraordinary and the everyday. As the lab settled into its familiar rhythm, Dr. Morales spoke softly to her colleagues. "We may never fully understand them, but that's part of their charm. They've shown us that the galaxy is still full of surprises, and I think we'll always be better for it." The final scene shifted to Fluffington 4 sitting by a window, staring out at the stars. His tail flicked lazily, as though sensing something just beyond the horizon, something invisible to everyone else. The galaxy was safe for now, but he seemed to know that there was always more waiting out there. And perhaps, when the time came, the galaxy's smallest guardians would be ready once again. The galaxy's greatest mysteries often lie in the smallest of places. What other secrets might be waiting in the quiet corners of our universe? Stay curious, stay open, and never underestimate the unexpected. If you enjoyed the story, share it and let us know your thoughts. Who knows? The next big discovery could be hiding right beside you, or perhaps purring on your lap. Thank you for watching till the end. If you enjoyed the story, please give this video a like and subscribe for more.